Yeah. I think that there definitely is benefit, but it's hard to quantify. You're right. And I think it's a really interesting idea that we can start to actually sort of quantify and measure just how much benefit and, you know, actionable stuff it's done or profit making, addition to your business or personal work that it's done. And that's a really cool idea. How to measure it is almost a little bit besides the point, right? Maybe it's just a sort of conceptual thing. Maybe the next phase of AI is to sort of prove to the customer that we're the best at making you money. And you can't get much more direct and, measurable and quantifiable than that, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah, for sure.
company A, you make 5 times as much money, and company B, you make 6 times as much money using our product, then people are going to use company B, right? I mean, it's simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, there is arguably two consequences that could arise from this. Number one is all the companies are now using AI to boost their revenue, which means that there is going to be a pretty much a war for a limited amount of customers. So that doesn't look great. And then the other option is that the AI models, so the different OpenAI and Anthropic, actually copy your business model
Mm,
just by looking at what prompts have generated the most income
I
in a
mean,
specific month, and then they can recreate your business model.
that might not
This
be
is
great for
probably,
customer
yeah,
trust. But
for sure, yeah.
the
And it is a
interesting point
problem
about
much
this,
more.
yeah, sorry.
No, it's a problem down the line. I think we are, again, very far away from this problem. But
Yeah, this makes me think about the concept that actually it's only pretty recently that AI has been able to increase profits and be a useful tool. First hit the common guy's laptop in 2022, so it hasn't been long that AI has been a tool that we can use. And I think it's fair to say that it hasn't actually been a useful tool until maybe last year. There were just too many hallucinations and not enough like actual workflows that it could do. There was no agentic AI. There was no, at least not for us. Maybe other companies had it a little bit earlier than that, but it wasn't really useful. You could always feel it's gonna be useful really soon, but it's not really useful. So maybe now that it's finally got to that point, it's time for them to start quantifying it. And that's what they need to do because we've only just got over that threshold of actually being a useful tool that does actually increase people's productivity. And I mean, I know big companies were only integrating it last year. And even then they were using ChatGPT 3. It wasn't even an up to date model. It was just people just really didn't know what it was. They had no idea.
Mhm.
So it's only just becoming profitable. And maybe you're right that they need to quantify that. And it hasn't been done yet. But maybe it's difficult to do that if every model is similar and without sort of counting every dollar and cent and pound. Is it even possible to sort of see the differences with these models? I mean, if they're so similar and they just have different personalities, I guess you could say. I mean, you'd have to sort of see every detail and quantify it. I don't think you could even do that.
But exactly, I don't even think it's about the model at that stage because whatever task you need to do, whether you're an architect or a doctor, you probably don't just work in Excel and Words. You probably work on far more specialized software and programs. And so you need the model to be integrated or be able to communicate with those software apps, etc. So you're just going to rely on the provider that allows you to interact in a specific software. So if you're an architect and you do loads of 3D modeling, you're going to pick the few AI models that allow you to do that at the best level or
Yeah.
that provide the integration for that.
Yeah. Maybe it just naturally sort of become clear to people. You're right. But those models probably wouldn't be ChatGPT and similar chatbots. They would be specialized AI. Because the
Yeah.
reality is that a lot of these work is done by specialized AI, not ChatGPT and similar. I mean, I was talking to a quantum physics guy recently. Maybe we could talk to him on the pod, but he was saying that they build generative physics AI. They train it on physics data and it's able to answer, but it's not a chatbot. It's not based on any of these common chatbots at all. It's just the same principle where you feed it data instead of language. So these language based LLM models are just one example of what you can do with generative AI. And many of them will be way more specialized. Maybe that's a little beside the point because these big companies are going to be the ones that kind of work as the, general assistant. And then maybe you would have AIs that are a bit more specialized as a sort of tool that you use. So maybe it's a little bit of a different question there. But it's an interesting point that these big generalized AIs are more like assistants than they are everything bots, and you'll still get these AIs that are specialized tools for specific